Dumelang, Sanbonani, and welcome to it. It's Monday Night Football, Lago Soweto TV, Kamalamu Kamzambata, as we hope you've been having a good long weekend and a good Easter weekend. A happy family day for today. Lots to go through this weekend, of course. The big news, Benni Malesela parting ways with Chippa United yet again. That might have something to do with the fact that Maritzburg United also gave them a heavy drubbing at the weekend, but good news for Ernst on that front. And of course, we'll look at Benni and how he's doing with Amazulu and Golden Arrows, also just looking pretty at the upper echelons of the table. We're going to tuck into all of that and more. Let me introduce you to my panel for the night. I've got Greg Atafia in the house alongside Timothy Batabayer and of course Calvin Sosibo. Gents, welcome to the show. Let's start with the big news. Dan's been given the boot. Do you sympathize or do you understand where Chippa Ncikazi is coming from?
It's very hard to comment on that one because we know the tendency of Chippa Ncikazi. He's a man of no patience. I think he runs his club like a business, which is if you don't deliver, he'll actually let you go. But if you try and actually understand where Dan is coming from, with the chopping and changing, it's not easy for a coach to always come into a team that when the wheels are coming off, they always want to have a fast remedy to quickly fix the team. But at this point, you're looking at a coach that had six losses, 5 draws, and 5 wins. It's balanced for me. So I think for me now, it's just for him to finish the league. Because the coach that's going to come now is going to be difficult.
Well, that's not going to happen, Kelvin. He's not going to finish the league. Instead, Luka Emel seems to be hovering like the vulture he is, Timothy. I mean, he's a technical advisor, is what the role is supposedly. But I'm guessing with a long-term view for him to be the man who picks that team.
Look, Ncikazi once again pulls the trigger. Dan and Ncikazi come a long way. I think this was his 5th time coaching the team. From Dan's own words, he's like, this is the boss who has ever believed in me, given me a chance to coach in the PSL. So he recognizes that. Right. And Ncikazi also recognizes the fact that he understands the team. Yeah. So if you look at Dan's, how he came back to Chippa, he was being fired by TS Galaxy in the same season, then he's given an opportunity. And we're looking at a team that was struggling even before he went in there. Right. And, I think he was starting to get well. 5 wins, five draws, 6 losses. Right. And in the semi-finals of Nedbank, I think you can understand that something is getting on right. But you've got a very impatient owner of the team who thinks his team is so good to win trophies, which is far from the truth. So it's far from being patient to understand that it's gonna take a while to grow a winning team, and the winning team is grown by a wonderful technical team and the consistent players, which he doesn't have in his team. So they're gonna struggle. So you're looking at who is next gonna come in. It took them a full minister to complain on behalf of Dad. Why do you keep on going back to Chippa, being fired all the time, 5 times? I don't know what's gonna happen to him, but I think he needs another opportunity with a well-organized owner of the team to give him a chance to coach. He's no doubt a good coach, but he needs that consistency for his vision to be realized.
Speaking of organization, Greg, is that partly maybe why they've looked at Emel, is someone to come in and, we know Dan's style. It's sometimes, style over substance. And now maybe with Luke, it's a case of, I just need this team to play, to draw, to win. And not to lose.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you see the way Luke came to the country, initially, it was, being appointed by Chippa United with the Safa saying that no, because of the situation he was having, where he was coaching before, and he's in the country through TTM, all of a sudden they say they don't want him again, and now Chippa is trying to take that advantage and telling Dan to go. But, I mean, Chippa United, there's history with them, now they're going on 29 coach. Starting the team from 2010, now 29 coach is not good for the CV. But I understand with Chippa Ncikazi, he's a chairman that wants to win things. But, with Dan's going back every time, Dan's play entertaining football. And with the PSL these days, everyone, wants results. And where they are on the league now, I mean, no chairman will not be panicking. Every chairman will be panicking because you're 15 there, not far away from either the playoff spot or automatic relegation, So, but I just think Luke is one coach that have been around. You go there as technical director. But he mustn't pack the whole bag to to East London, because he must just take a little bit small bag, you know, and not to unpack everything. But I just wish them well. But going in this way, I don't think Chippa will, you know, achieve what he really want to achieve, because right now they're in the semi-finals in the cup game, and in the league they're not looking good. Okay, given the fact Black Leopard are not winning their games, and TTM, that's why they are still on 15th position. Otherwise, they could have been down the bottom there. But you know, they conceded a lot of goals, and the one they conceded against Maritzburg, you know, it was unforgiving. You know, the way they conceded, given the fact they score first, you know, and they try to play from the back. That's why, you know, people like Dance the way he play with defense, but the chairman, you know, when you start losing, they forget about the way you play, because not the way you play.
I mean, would he not have known that? Bringing him into the picture, though, that, you know, when you bring in Dan, you're going to get that kind of football.
You know, look, it's very interesting. I've heard these theories and how people want to play. This is my theory and everything like that. You can't design what you want to play as a coach if you don't have the material to play.
Right.
So you need to recognize the kind of players you have at your disposal, and then you coach them. You're going to have a player who cannot cope with your system. At this moment of the season, you can't get those ones. Use what you have to survive, and then at the beginning of the season, you try to come up with your system.
But the thing with Downs, you know, when he came in December, he has that opportunity, you know, for him to sign players. He brought some players that he needed. You know, he brought about 5 players that to say, this is my player, this type of player I want to play. But, you know, the thing that he haven't changed, you know, right from the time going back to Chippa up, down and front, even with T.S. Gallas, he tried to play this entertaining football. And, you know, when you don't have those players, as Tim is saying, you don't have those players. So you need to play for results. You need to, I mean, it's easy. You defend and attack. You use 4 to attack. But for the guys that he has to try to play from the back, and you have every other team now, they try to front pressing. Most of the team in the PSL, they go with front pressing. They play with 3 strikers. They press you. And for me, I just think he is forcing them to do what they're not comfortable with.
I think, again, just to come in there comes, I think the game has evolved. And the way it is now, Dan is left behind. So he's trying to actually to do things that he's been doing past. And other coaches are coming up with new material. They plan for them. Knowing for a team that plays comfortable football, they can start at the back, build up play from the middle to striker.
Any opposition coach is going to unsettle that,
You get into a team that will actually watch your games, and then they will understand that, okay, you're comfortable building from the back. So let's apply high press. So when you apply high press, it means that you're on their final third. Any mistake that you make, you're going to be scored. So now if it's difficult for you to play, then rather resort to another formation whereby you know you don't have strength aerial present. Still try and maybe at least play on the midstream. So if you're playing from the middle, start building up there, because you build up from the back and then you get dispossessed and then they score.
For me, you know, this is what is interesting. The way Dan wants to play. Remember, the short passing game attracts so many of your players in that area. So the moment you lose possession, you are less in numbers. So you are playing against Middlesbrough, a very good student of the game too. So he understands that once you win that ball, don't play a short game, just release your teammate. And if you look at the goals they conceded, they were beautiful, well-taken goals. They knew exactly once they lose the ball, take a shot at goal. The keeper is out of position. All defenders are out of position. They are not keeping the shape. So it's imperative for the coach to understand that all players are not comfortable on the ball, especially defenders. So you cannot force them to play from the back. Let them rather play high up, and then they try to play around the center line to possess the game, and then you try to transform the system the way you want. According to the way he wants to play, he's going to bound to lose games, and it's not surprising. And for a manager, for the owner of the team like Mpengesi, you can't survive.
Just to add...
the other, you see the 2 goals they considered against Maritzburg. Equivalent to the goals they considered against Pirates. You know, the goalkeeper came out of the box, tried to, I don't know what was doing there. Because in normal situation, when you come out from the box, you just clear the ball. But he's trying to, and the ball went, you know, because maybe the coach, you know, told him that you have to be comfortable, you can play, but not in this stage now. Not in this stage now. And if you see the 4th goal and the 5th goal they considered against Maritzburg, typical defender tried to do, I don't know what he's trying to do, playing for the back, and you're losing 3-1. So I just unfortunately, you know, I just think, as he said, Downs need to move forward. He need to, you know, refresh himself. He need to know that there's two ways you can play. It's either you get a team that they don't press you high, you can play from the back, or you just play route one and play from the second ball.
But also sometimes this is what I call player intelligence. You know, as players, you should have the intellect to understand that my teammate is not comfortable on the ball. I cannot pass him the ball when there's a close opponent around him. Play long balls and everything like that. Try to protect one another in that moment because the coach is telling you something. It's like PlayStation football. You know, somebody's playing PlayStation and thinks everybody can play like that.
But
so that's a problem.
The coach say, we need to play. This is our identity. This is how we play. No matter if that other team pressurize us, if we play out from the back.
But
you cannot go against that coach.
No, but like when you know your chairman is as
no, the coach will take you out of the team. And you don't want to be out of the team. The coach will take you out of the team.
And that's the problem.
Yeah, the coach will take you out. But that's the problem. It's normal. The coach will take you out of the team.
If you don't listen to him.
Itafia, this is what I just want to add. When you're playing positional football, remember you're always out of position because immediately you lose the ball. That means you're gonna have to cover a lot of ground in the field. So every time when you're playing this position football, it depends. That's why it's very important in the game. The weight of your pass, the timing of your runs, how you move, and how you actually set up in terms of when you transition going forward. So every time when you're a team that keeps football, now Maritzburg, what they did, they set traps. They knew in which zone where to press and how. That's why they profited from those goals. Should they have done something different that they know that Maritzburg presses high up front, then why still apply the starting the build-up from the back?
Look, position football is not wrong, but in this case, it's being coached wrongly. It's basic. We are watching Sundowns playing positional football. They are not giving out the ball in the last quarter. Who is the last man? Is the goalkeeper. Who is the last man behind the goal? It's the net. So as a defender, in every movement I make and every positional ball, I have to think like a defender. When I move into the midfield, then I think like a midfielder. When I go upfield, I think like a striker. Simple. So you should not expect me to have the ball as a defender and start thinking like a midfielder, trying to dance around with the ball. Once you lose it, you're going to be punished. It is simple. The boys are not being coached how to play position football.
Simple as that. Okay, well, let's leave it on a high note, and that's, of course, focusing maybe on Maritzburg United. And, you know, in terms of some momentum for them, we always worry about these international breaks kind of killing a team's flow. But with Maritzburg, it would seem, with his love affair with Maritzburg United, he has a coach who always keeps going back there, but with the right result. What's the difference in the projects there? Is it the material? Is it who you're working with, the players? Is it the chairman?
I think for Middledorp, for him to go there, he knows the character of those players that are there. He knows how he can actually work with them around. So him going there, he will know the type of players that he would need for his system, because Middledorp is a student of the game, as Tim has pointed out, that he understands football. He can maximize players that you find them as ordinary, but he makes sure that he gets the best out of them. Look at, for instance, now KUTUMELA. Is the one that is shining, is doing so well, but it's a player that had a dip in performance. So since Middledorp came, the only thing that I know is, because I've worked with him, he's more of a tactical coach. He wants to play football, direct football, that will give him results. Entertainment, not so much onto it, because he's more of a result-driven coach. So that helps him to get the structure. What he normally works with, he always tries to get the structure first. So once he gets the structure, when he started losing, he always was upset, because he says, we speak about this in training session, you see players not actually raising their hands, they are not coming to the party. But we're looking at it in the sense now that players are starting to understand what the coach really wants, because again, we need to be aware that some of the players in this higher level, they are not well coached.
Yeah, I know, hey? Well, food for thoughts on this public holiday there, as far as just the approach from the coaches, and obviously making sure that there's a difference in class. It would seem at this point, Maritzburg United showing it at the weekend against a side in Chippa United, who now have a chance to rebuild, with Luke Amel pulling some of the strings. We're going to continue with Monday Night Football after this. Welcome back. Monday Night Football, Lagu Soweto TV, as we continue looking back on what's been happening locally, like with the DSTV Premiership. And let's maybe focus now on the KZN teams. They had a good weekend, and there seems to be some upward momentum as far as their form is concerned. You know, I'm obviously referring to Golden Arrows. I'm speaking about Amazulu. You know, we're in a situation now, if you had to take a snapshot of the league, you have representatives in the top 3 from KZN, and I don't know if any of you would have called that at the beginning of the season. No? Yeah, there we go. At least be honest.
I'm honest about it. I didn't see this one coming, but I think that the chairman is happy where he is. I think this is what he wanted, and I'm sure the freshness also on getting a coach that understands players, that motivates players. Always, when we look for a coach that has done it, it's very seldom that you find us in this position, because most coaches are from different career paths, then they come into football. But Benni has done it, has scored goals, he understands the game. He will actually talk to players in a way that, because players are very fragile. Players are the most fragile people, so Benni knows how to tweak those players, how to get them going. So what I'm more interested in now with Benni is, I'm interested to see how he maintains this winning streak that they have, and to solidify the position that they're in. We're looking at in terms of how he gets the players to be fresher, because now there must be little training session. Meaning, why I'm saying that, so that if players are fresh mentally, they will know how to absorb the pressure that comes within being at the top.
Okay, that's an interesting point. So Calvin sees it as a sign of things to come and a sign of the development of the KZN teams. Do you kind of see them in this picture until the end of the season, Tim? Because as we see the likes of Swallows start falling away, we'll speak about them in a moment's time. But when you see this ascension, it always is at the expense of someone else.
Look, I think change of management at Amazon. The boss comes in and he says, I want Benni back. Remember, Benni leaves Cape Town City, given the fact that there is interference because his wishes are not being met in that moment in time. And now a boss says, I'll give you everything you need. Come and coach Amazon.
Just give me results.
And then the first decision he makes is like, I'll take Numveta as my assistant and Joseph, Molefi Joseph as my part of the technical team. Now you are looking at a well-established technical team that has succeeded and has been very successful at all levels of football. Yeah. And now they are coming to impact that knowledge and expertise to the rest of the young players. Now, these players are motivated. They grew up watching all this, the technical team performing on the field of play. So what they are being told is not new. So in that running of the team, they get the results. That was very important, that in the first takeoff of the technical team, they get those positive results. Means that the momentum has picked up and they have not gone down. For Golden Arrows, traditionally it has been a difficult team to beat. Yeah. They always play their own football. And what they have done better this season is that they have gone back to the roots. They have gone back to play the Golden Arrows way of football. Right. And that is the difference today, and that's why they are performing that better.
KZN, you know, I mean, we must give kudos to them. They need to snap that log table, you know, and all of them, they're sitting, 12 of them are sitting on 37 points.
They need to win the championship.
So, and for the good thing about them, you know, when Benni came to Amazulu, December, you know, they only won 1 game in 7. And for the first time in this season, a coach won 5 games straight without losing, you know, and he has won 9 in all competition, draw 5, you know, lose 2 in all competition, including cup games. So I think he has done very well. And not to forget, he has Molenga that came from Pirates that was not doing well, and now is the most assist player in the league now with 8 assists.
How long do you think this can carry on? Because looking past this season, some might feel that Golden Arrows, this might be a one-season wonder, whereas Amazulu, the expectation is for them to build on this for next season. How do you see that kind of dynamic? He
has always been, you know, Joburg Pretoria, you know, the competition in terms of winning the league and being the top. I think, you know, the power is shifting now into the KZN now.
Do you think Golden Arrows can win the league?
Not winning the league, but be consistent in where they are now, you know, in terms of first, second, third, with Amazulu, with the money and with the players they have.
Well, that's why I'm asking that, because this season pretty much it looks like Sundowns has it in the bag, right? It's a competition between them.
No, Kabza, no. Sundowns you haven't played the game yet. You have game in hand. You have game in hand. Doesn't mean you have
Fair
a point.
enough.
No,
Sundowns
doesn't have the debate. For me, there's still a lot of games to go. There's still a lot of games to go.
The dynamics of a team winning the championship, for the years I played in the PSL, I can take you down the line. There will always be between Pretoria, Johannesburg, maybe Cape Town.
Yeah.
Why? if you look at the teams in Johannesburg and Pretoria, their distances of travel are less. The players' recovery is quicker. A team in KwaZulu-Natal to win the championship, the owner must have deep pockets to make sure that those players are flying, not traveling by bus.
No, in the PSL, no one travel by bus. They fly 45 minutes a year.
No. That's not true. Okay. Bloemfontein Celtic will drive from Bloemfontein to Johannesburg after the game, go to KFC, eat your food, get back on the bus, go back to Bloemfontein.
That's during your time.
Rest
Not
one
now.
Replenish
During when you're
with
playing.
KFC.
Do your research even today. So I'm trying to break down how it's difficult for a team in Bloemfontein or any other part of the region to try and win the championship. Now, Cape Town, it's like every team has to play in Cape Town. So if Cape Town teams win all their home games and try to travel to these high altitude areas and get some positive results, they are most likely also to win the championship. So for Amazulu at this moment in time, I think Benni being there, he will demand that his players, either when they travel by bus, they stay over in Johannesburg, have that recovery, train, and then travel back to KwaZulu-Natal so that their recovery is quicker, then they can compete. If that is not looked into, Pretoria, Johannesburg will always win the championship.
I think again,
Tim, I'm gonna put in a good word for you, okay? Your CV, you're gonna do it, Calvin. You know the chairman.
no.
You don't know the chairman?
Not that much. Not that much. I do know.
Okay.
I do know the chairman. But what I can say is, finances are playing a very big, playing an important role in our sport now, and having Mr. Zungu in charge, I think things have changed. Because I'm assuming now the bonuses are kicking in. New owner is still excited. The more carrots you throw for players, they're gonna perform. It's just so unfortunate that at times, team in the PSL will always throw the carrots when you are next to the relegation zone. I can tell you now, teams at the bottom, there's a lot of money to collect.
Right.
For you, there's a lot. There's a ton.
Because they're being
of money.
incentivized to stay.
Yes. So now you're looking at the Zungu, how he structured it. I don't think for him money is a problem. So within all the stuff that he wanted are there. They are kept happy. All that they have to do now is worry about is just to perform and get the players to be on their right state of mind. So that's the most important part in this game. And I think now with the financial side, with many teams are being crippled, we saw the case of TTM whereby they don't even have training kit. They have to go wash it, and there are stories like that. So that's bad at a high level. So when you have a team that are setting up records, I think Mr. Zungu's got a very good plan ahead. So now, for him to meet the top 4 position, he's looking for better things to come in the new season because he's got the money to get the players that he needs.
Okay, so I guess we're all agreeing that next season Amazulu are going to be quite the proposition. And my question
Don't forget Golden Arrows.
Do you think they're also going to be in the mix still next season?
No, Golden Arrows has
They're going to be stripped for parts. They're going to be stripped for parts.
That's the problem with Golden Arrows.
But they have that development to get more players. Because you see, don't forget, most of the PSL teams, Golden Arrows feed most of them with their players, but they still produce.
They feed Pirates, not all the teams.
No, I mean Sundowns now. They go to Sundowns. Most of the players go to Sundowns.
This is the problem.
Next season, Sundowns have already identified players to buy from Golden Arrows. But don't forget, Golden Arrows now we start, getting the guys from academy to, the ones from development. They always have that. They're not the team that buy, but goes and buy big.
But that cycle though,
the problem is, if you can't keep the core of your team,
you're starting again.
and then you start afresh, you're most likely not to compete. I can give you an example. You're looking at Sundowns. Sundowns will buy 1 or 2 just to
double up on
those
positions.
horses, and they're still competitive. So you cannot sell 5, the core of the team. And
Sundowns buy your best player to weaken your team so that they can win the league.
But who sells? Who sells?
So Golden Arrows, the players that are coming from development, they are still hungry. They haven't got that big money. They're
That's
not
fine, but I
superstar.
think the cycle takes time though.
But with the coach they have, he knows them. He's already planning for next season. They are in a good position. For me, I think Golden Arrows will contest again for next season.
Wow.
I think
Wow. That is quite
Let me tell you, Golden Arrows it's a selling club.
Yeah.
It's a selling club.
Yeah.
That has to stop. Try to keep your players for 2-3 seasons, and then you can't sell them.
Yeah.
Then you try to compete. Golden Arrows has always been a selling club. They always play. What does that mean? They enjoy entertaining. So being number 2 is a bonus. It's not what they expect.
Yes.
So they are trying to market themselves. They're going to sell almost the whole squad and then start afresh. It's a selling club. That's the problem.
Probably.
And I think also, this is what's also crippling Maritzburg. They sell most of their core players and they didn't replace them. That's why they find themselves in the position
but
that
guys,
they're into.
I mean, teams are not the same. You need to sell to balance the book.
Some teams are selling
Golden
clubs.
Arrows,
No,
Golden Arrows
I'm
we
saying,
sell.
I don't have a problem with
Maritzburg
selling.
we sell.
I don't have a problem with selling.
Black Leopard we sell. All those teams we sell.
I don't have a problem
but
with
there's
selling.
only
I'm
two,
saying
three teams.
about the
Right. But
replacement.
Etafia,
The
you can't sell-
replacement.
That's why they have them.
No.
That's what they produce.
Etafia, you can't-
They don't produce.
Etafia.
How many
Golden Arrows.
players- How many players have been they promoted Maritzburg? I'm talking about Maritzburg.
No, Maritzburg, I can
That's what I'm
think
saying.
about two
The
players.
reason
For me,
why
the one
these
that
two
scored the
teams-
first goal.
Honestly speaking, for me, Maritzburg United now, the Kadida now knows Middlesbrough. When he left, he had set up a wonderful structure. That's the development structure. And he left Davids there, Faculty Davids. So it became a continuous, conveyor belt for
Right,
players. And
right.
they were performing all
Right.
right. And then he went out and then came back to Chiefs. So in that moment, the owner of Maritzburg United, when things were falling apart, went back again to Middlesbrough. Said, listen, I want to buy your contract out of Ethiopia, St. George. Can you come back home? So the owner understands the philosophy of Middlesbrough. He knows he's going to set up those structures to be well functioning. There is no need to buy players. If he needs to buy players, it will be one or two
Right.
just to fill up the gaps. Over 2 years, they will be very competitive.
Okay, let's see. It's an interesting one, and we'd love your thoughts at home. What do you think? Do you think Golden Arrows, Abafana Best 10 next season, are they still going to be giving problems at the upper side of the table, or are they having a freak season? Time will tell. Let's talk very quickly about Morocco Swallows now, who are sitting in 6th. I mean, Swallows FC, I think is what I meant to say.
FC.
Swallows FC. They're sitting in 6th position. I mean, we can talk about them not losing games and a character to come back, but in all of that, are we seeing more and more where they really should be on the table?
Yeah, I mean, the way they started the league, everyone expected them to be contesting close to Sundowns now.
Right.
But the way they fell back in terms of the draws they have, I'm talking about 12 draws.
12 draws,
Yeah, 7 wins and 1 lose. Beginning of the season, if you give them this position to stay and finish the season like this, I think they will take that. But because the expectation, how they started, people are expecting more for them. Most of the games now, they come into draw, or they are leading, like against Chippa, they were leading 2-0. You expect them to keep the result, but they came back and drew, and there was a meeting with the coach. And against Golden Arrows, I mean, they nearly lost that game. It's just 10 seconds and Mary, a magic. And they have been having that luck. I mean, there's a time that luck is going to run out. But for now, they are doing well. They are safe in the league. They just need to build for next season.
So already, is that where you should be thinking? Is that mission accomplished? We're safe. We're not going anywhere. We can't put up a title challenge. How do they use the rest of the season?
I think Swallows is punching above weight. They have performed so well. A team coming from the lower division, doing so well. Position 6 at this moment in time is a good position. Always the problem is management. They never expected to perform the way they have performed. And all of a sudden they want to change the aims and objectives of the season for the team. And they exert that pressure on the coach and the players, and that becomes a problem. You're going to go through those moments, the slump is going to be there, and then you pick up, how do you manage that slump? So they are not losing games, they are drawing games. In some cases you will find that you rather lose a game and then get 3 points. It's better than drawing 12 games, given the number of points you're going to miss. But if you are looking at a Swallows team that was assembled, you get all these, most of the players that were rejected, given an opportunity, they are coming to prove a point, and they have performed well. Now, they're still performing well. They can still get up the log.
For sure, yeah.
So they need to close, get cotton wool, put them in the ears, and just concentrate on themselves. And then at the end of the season, the rest of the world will join them in celebrating what they have done this season.
Okay, I mean, that's one way to look at it, and that's a positive way to look at it.
But
do you agree?
I mean, that's rightly say, in terms of everything is said now. But the problem now, you have TS Galas in the top 8, you have Swallows in the top 8, and you're looking down your shoulder, Chiefs is coming. One need to fall by the wayside because Chiefs have games in hand. The ones ahead of them, they play 21 games. Chiefs only play 19 games. They're playing Stellenbosch tomorrow. If they win that game, they're on 26 points with TS Galazi and the rest. They win. Yeah, so it's a big problem. You need to start winning games. As team, said earlier, there's some games, you say, I better lose it and win the next game than to draw, because you draw 3 games, you get 3 points. You know, you win 2 games, you have 6 points. You lose 1. You know, all those, you know, situation you need to consider, and the teams you play against.
Yeah.
Because what they show in the first round, they were top class. They were, you know, all over. They were doing everything right. But all of a sudden, they concede goals, and if Gabardine don't play, you know, the top striker, you don't know where the goal is coming from, you know. So that's a big problem. But I think they use probably the whole season for the first round, they use about 15 players. I think it's catching up with them now because the other players now coming in, they don't know what's happening with the system and the situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Also,
so there we go. Players maybe being reintegrated or brought into the side a bit late in proceedings, and now it's having an effect on results for Swallows FC. We're going to continue looking at our teams who are in action on the rest of the continent, and of course, focus on what's been happening in the CAF competitions after we shake a short little break. MNF continues after this. Welcome back. It's Monday Night Football on this Easter weekend as we now reflect on the CAF competitions. And of course, for Orlando Pirates, they had a game where, had they won against Ali Benghazi, it would have been a situation where they're a lot more comfortable in their group. It's a very tight group, that one, and probably going to be a tough month for Joseph Zimbawa. I kind of feel like how the games transpire in the African competition might have a bearing on his future. How do you see it, Kelvin? Do you think he's in a pressurized month as far as results are concerned?
True, yeah, he's in a pressurized month, but all he's got to do, Pirates is a big club. He took the job knowing very well, and he has to actually get the players. The selection becomes important in this part. So if he gets the right selections of players to participate in these tournaments, because a big team like Pirates, they will always have to split in terms of their competition. So as a coach, when you are coaching, that's why they call you have this period of where you're going to have to recycle players. So now you're going to reserve players for certain matches, which if they're going to travel, so that they can feed off to the ones that are actually left at home. So it's very important to have the balance in terms of the numbers of those players that are actually behind and the ones that are playing in the competition level. So keeping players motivated at this point, in this pressured month, for him, it's just have to do with more tactical work, trying to get the points in the bag.
I mean, Greg, Enyimba top of the table, but it's literally 1 point between them and Benghazi. Setifa also 3 points behind the team in third. Wide open group. Yeah,
that group, man, it was something else. You know, yesterday, I just feel like Enyimba, they did very well to come back because they were losing, you know, in that game. You know, TS scored first before they came back. They lost the penalty in that game. And it could have been 3-1. They lost the penalty and they won 2-1. But, you know, playing in Nigeria, I think this Enyimba is a side that, you know, remember 2011, 2012, the Dela Enyimba, the Vicente Yama, that season, won Neri. They won the Champions League back-to-back. I think they're coming to that stage now with the league. They have 4 games in hand and they're 6 on the log. So I think they're balancing both sides. But I think this CAF is more important for them to do well. But they did very well to come back from a go down to win that game yesterday.
Tim, as far as the coach is concerned, Zimbawa, can he be judged on the effects or the results of this month, whether Pirates secure themselves promotion to the next round? Is that something that, as a chairman, you look at and say, or do you say, okay, cool, well, there's still the rest of the season, let's see what happens?
Look, at the end of the day, football, we judge you by results. You need to perform. Pirates is a big team. You have to win trophies. Less of trophies, you're not performing. People, we can try to explain how they're playing well and everything like that. Less of a trophy, you are at a loss. I, for one, I don't believe a player donning a Pirates jersey is not good enough to play immediately. If you're a Pirates player, you're a Chiefs player, Sundowns player, anytime called upon, you must deliver to the expectation of the fans. There is no but, whether you have been playing or not. You're training week in, week out with the rest of the squad, you must deliver. So there is no explanation that this one is injured, this one is not available. If the one player is not available, the one that is available must deliver and then get the results going. If you look at the CAF, you know, their championship, they need to concentrate on themselves. Win your home games and make sure that you qualify. Once you get into the quarterfinals, then you know you have one game to get into the semi-finals and into the finals. Just concentrate on your game at that particular day and make sure you get the results.
Let's see. I mean, Orlando Pirates will then have it to do. We're speaking also about Mamelodi Sundowns side, who have for themselves also now, in a situation where, they've guaranteed themselves to the next round. It's now about just trying to get that squad harmony, using this game to integrate players who maybe need a chance, all while the opposition coaches from Mourinho saying these guys play like teams in England, like they play like a Liverpool or an Arsenal.
That's a big compliment, and you can give that to Sundowns for where they are coming from, where they are now. You cannot win the Champions League twice. I mean, you cannot do that just all of a sudden. They have been building that scenario to come to that situation.
Right.
They play against Black Leopard. That squad, most of the players in that squad, they gave them rest. They took on the team on the squad to Sudan, the likes of Peter were given a break, 5 days, rest. So they have that luxury to do what they want to do because they have already qualified.
Right.
And the good thing is the players that are there now, the Kekana came in, they raised their hand up. Mbala was playing that game, make 2 goal line clearance there. I think they did very well to get a result there, which the result we are looking for Bafana to get there. And they got it for the country. At least they did very well. But at the end of the day, I think, Sundowns, they are really raising the flag up.
No, for sure they are. I mean, looking at this group, done and dusted, it means that, in terms of just, getting players to get a feel for the excellence that's kind of permeating through the squad. You take all of that and bring it back and play the soccer locally at the standard that's been recognized by the opposition coaches. Do the other teams here stand a chance, Calvin?
At this point, I think Sundowns is running away with it. I think every player that is at Sundowns right now, they have a mentality that they want to win. They want to win everything that is available. So you can see the way now the squad is structured. We started by complaining that there's too many coaches. But I think at this point, these ideas that are coming to the table now are only giving us positive results. There's something that we need to talk about. It's not unusual to find that in Europe, because you've got like a whole lot of background stuff that actually helps with the information that filters through. So having so much coaches and sharing those ideas helps you to understand, because a coach might not understand a different character of a different player. Steve has worked with us in the junior age, and most of the players that are there are coming up from the ranks, and he knows them. Mangoba has worked with some of the players at a different level, so he brings a different expertise on the game. So at this point, teams are going to find it harder because those coaches, they work. All that I know, they plan, they work, they're very tactical. For them to get to get that reference from the coach that they are playing like team from Tottenham, it doesn't come like that. It's not thumb suck, because the coach feels that when he was planning, the game that they brought was the one that he made sure that, okay, these African teams have raised their flag.
Just to break one, we're breaking it here, don't be surprised. You see Tinkler in Sundowns. Technica helping the coaches, they give him a position there, so probably he might be starting. Yeah? Yeah. So just a big news.
Look, for me, what's happening with the PSL? PSL is quite a different ball game, because you're looking at when you're playing Al Hilal of Sudan versus Sundowns. We are having 2 highly technical teams.
Sure.
So all teams at a high level of tactics. Now you're coming to PSL, which is wanting. Sundowns must want to win. They have to move the bus to make sure that they score the goals they want.
Right.
Because you're going to have teams playing in the orthodox way, frustrating how they move and everything like that. So they must want to win the game to beat the PSL teams. The PSL has already served us with surprises.
Right.
So I have no doubt about that. They have to continue with a positive mindset, wanting to win until the last day. PSL teams are always full of surprises. You'll find Black Leopards beating Sundowns, and you will not be able to explain it. So as long as they have that mentality that they want to win it, they will win it. Because if you look at the technical team of Sundowns, if you look at the players, 90% of the players are champions. They have won trophies. So it becomes a habit. They still want to win more trophies. So there is no team that is going to try to give them a run for their money.
And doesn't this then bring into perspective just how big these, African competitions are? You have a former senior who comes to Africa on the back of this team competing in a continental competition. And then there's always that cry about people coming here as plumbers and whatnot, and we're not attracting the best of the best. Here we are, we have a team that, you know, is attracting the former assistant of a Mourinho. When are we going to get to that point to complement our Rulanis and our coach Steves and Mangobas?
I think this is the time. This is the time. We don't need people from outside to recognize us in this way. But now I think it has more weight and more sound if it's coming from a highly tactical coach. I don't know. This is how maybe they take it in our country. But we all know that these three coaches there at Sundowns have served us well. They've given us beautiful football. They've introduced us into the new form and the modern way of playing, and which is now most teams in the PSL needs to catch up. So the lesser they do what Sundowns are doing, the more they're going to fall back. As we spoke about it then, him having to evolve. Those coaches at Sundowns, they are far ahead of us. The way that they do their work, if you spend one training session with them, you'll really understand this is football and this is business. This is how things are supposed to be run.
At this level.
Because you find players that are performing at that higher level. You find a coach that is going to have a meeting with defenders in terms of tactical, how do you need to defend. On this game, midfielders, this is your movement, these are your patterns. Strikers, this is how we start blocking from forward. This is how we apply our high press. This is wingers, this is how we're going to do our underlaps. This is how we're going to apply all of these other stuff. So now, when it comes to other teams that are just taking Sundowns for granted, Sundowns have a tendency of changing system within the game. And then teams get surprised. That's why they get heavy scores.
And the good thing, you know, the last international break, Sundowns have 12 players going from, I mean, there's no team in the PSL can do that. So you can see that they're on another level, you know, playing the CAF Champions League. You're just like basically playing international games every weekend or midweek, you know, so complementing that with the league and be on top of the league, I mean, we must give them credit. To the coaches, to the players, to everyone behind the scene at Sundowns.
Okay.
I think we need to cultivate a culture of appreciating something that is good. And give credit where it's due.
Sure.
And I think we always, you know, recognize foreign appreciation other than the local appreciation. I think if you look at Rulani before he went to Pirates, he was recognized by Pitso as one of the future. And then he went to Pirates, he was trying to implement something that didn't come out. And all of a sudden, everybody wrote him off. And eventually, Pitso brought him back to Sundowns. You're looking at coaches who are going to be greater coaches. And now with the sources of Sundowns, they are coming of age. I think that is very important to recognize.
Okay, and so what is the fuel at Kaizer Chiefs at the moment? Because, you know, obviously now with 9 men, still able to hold out for a victory. You know, it is a bit of a precarious Group C. They're sitting in 3rd position. You know, so things could still go otherwise. But so far, so good in that since that Pirates game, they're just looking to have found a new lease on life.
For me, they did themselves very well. I mean, they needed to play with nine players for them to win that game. You know, I mean, with that game, that this weekend was the decider. You know, for them to have something to hold on. You know, and the league is not looking good for them, but the CAF Champions League is looking good for them. But the decider will be in Guinea. You know, they're going to away now. They need, so that's where they decide that. That's, you know, you win, you take, you know, you win, you come second, and you dare, and which they really need. They need to go there with wholehearted and make sure they get a result there. And they know how to play away game. Gavin know how to play away game. They just need a set piece or something that we give them a goal there. They can defend very well now, because you can see with the 9 men, you know, they defend very well. But
talk about defense. What was Akbay doing?
I just think, you know, it's a rush of blood. You know, I think, you know, every goalkeeper, every goalkeeper, sometimes they say the goalkeeper, you know, a lot of knocks in your head, you become, you know, something. But I just think, you know, he didn't know where he is at that moment, you know, so, you know, you use your hands, so you need to calculate, you need to know where you are, so you're trying to get the ball, and it's a red card. I mean, and that puts Chiefs under big pressure. But with that red card, they came in second half 2 minutes into second half, they score a goal. You know, I mean, you can see, I mean, you can give credit to the technical team, led by Gavin Hunt. You know, you have Atozwani there, you have Shepard there. Don't forget, they too, they add their input. I mean, you know, Kaiser Chiefs for now, for me, as you see earlier on against Pirates, that win really motivated them. And that game really showed they did very well, you know. So I'm just so happy for them.
Tim, I mean, this is one of those games where, you know, you see a Bernard Parker come to the fore, you see Kune step in, and at the same time, you've heard the coach kind of speak this language of players playing for their futures and for their contracts. I mean, you know, with Bernard and the quality that he has, do you see him being a one-club man where, you know, he can see things out there with the right amount of game time, you know, being managed correctly? And what of Kune? I mean, you know, these are players who are almost playing for a lifeline.
Look, these are two players who are not playing for their contracts. I disagree.
Right.
They have proved themselves.
So what are you playing for?
No,
they're playing for their contract.
You see,
if you don't have a contract, you play to get a contract.
You know, when you hear people saying playing for a contract, these are for small players who are coming about. But we're talking about players who have been there. They know what they can offer and what they have offered. It's not new. So when these comments come out, these are comments just to try and use Kune, use Parker to motivate the young players. You cannot tell Kune and Parker that you are playing for your future. That I refuse to agree. One, there's no shop.
No.
There's no shop.
But I mean, surely they've got like some, they have to hit some marks throughout the season.
Let me tell you something. This is what is interesting about senior players.
Yeah.
When things are not going well, they always point the senior players. Now, a senior player cannot field himself. He needs to be on the field of play.
Right.
So he has not been playing. All of a sudden, he's put on the field of play and is delivering. The question is, if he was playing all along, what would be offering the team? So how do you manage senior players to deliver for the club? They are not against anyone. But the biggest problem we have, especially in the PSL, is
that they're villainized.
Once you make of age, they think you can't deliver automatically, even before being selected on the field of play. So even when he's playing and training well, there is that arrow of doubt that is
Kune hasn't been playing well this season.
Yes.
You know, he gets to fill in when Akpei makes a bigger mistake than he's made.
Yes.
When you look at that over the course of a season, you're telling me that has no influence on whether I offer this individual a new contract?
The question is, for the seasons has been performing, for how long has he performed that?
So you're going to base it not on this one, you're going to base it on one of the four?
No. What I'm trying to say is, this is Kune, who needs the support of everyone at this moment in time, when he's having this mental breakdown that happens to every player. So how do you manage him? You don't need to remind him of his age. He knows how old he is.
No,
but he
forget about the age now. Forget about the age. Let's talk about performance.
Yes.
You see, performance, you forget, no matter how old you are, if you perform, no coach will not put you in the pitch.
Yes. Sure.
We will not, at Chiefs camp there, Gavin saw what he saw and play who he need to play. But with what we have seen this season, okay, Kune Akpei, you can't choose number one. Anyone can play because they're the same level.
They've been bad.
So, but now if they don't have a contract, like maybe their contract is running out now, you're saying that they're not going to play for... They're going to play so that they can get new contracts.
This is what I'm
or the other team want to buy them, they can go there. You can't tell me say because of say, because I played so season, I've won so season, I'm okay. It's fine, give me a contract. No, team. This is, you say it's business. Business is business. You perform, I give you.
Okay,
you perform, I give you.
Okay, tell me something. In the PSL, which player, even with the poor performance of Kune, which position do you put Kune?
I understand. You understand me say?
No, what I'm trying to tell you is, it's still good enough with his poor. No.
You can't compare Chiefs and Black Leopard.
Okay.
You will tell me Mendes is performing as Black Leopard badly. You can't compare to Kaiser Chiefs.
So what I'm trying to tell you.
Chiefs is playing Champions League. So Black Leopard is on the floor there, going to the regulation there. So that's why this is different.
What makes sense is, you can't get a Black Leopards player to replace Kune. So you maintain Kune, look after him, to get back to give you that best result. You don't discard him. You're making a mistake. So now Akpei makes a mistake. He gets a red card. He comes in, makes the save. Now we have to win a game in Guinea.
Gents, I'm going to end it there. That was wild.
So you don't discard Kune.
We want to have a little time for Bafana, so we're taking a short little break, after which we'll reflect on what happened since they lost, and of course with the sacking of coach Molefi Ntseki. Join us after this, please. Welcome back to Monday Night Football. Sabashang, honorable mention, Yana Bafana, of course, since we found out that they haven't qualified for the next AFCON. Molefi Ntseki also being relieved of his duties, but the only person who would seem relieved of his duties. How does it work with the ones above him, gents?
I mean, people need to make decision, you know. So the one
decision
above,
makers.
yeah, decision makers, they have to make decision, you know. But for them to come out and accept that they did fail the country is one credit to them. But for them to fire the coach is the easier way to go, you know. It's easier route to go because you can fire players, you know. He's a coach. They feel like, okay, he's the coach that's supposed to lead us. The mandate was to lead us to this tournament, and he couldn't do that. And they have to relieve him of his duty. But it's unfortunate. I mean, he has done very well. You know, I mean, he can be a great coach in any other country or in the club side. So he has to go back now and see what he has done right.
That's high praise, Greg.
Yeah, no, I mean, he has done well. He didn't. I mean, 9 games. You know, he has done very well. You know, he didn't lose badly, but they need to qualify. You see, the thing. Some country will accept what he has done. You have 10 points and you still go out. I mean, we're talking about people like this, Uganda, 8 points, you know, they out. So, I mean, if there's best loser, Bafana will be there. But at the end of the day, for me, I give him praise, and he has done very well with what he has and the situation. I think he's going to be a good coach, going forward.
He's going to be a good coach, Kelvin. Watch out for that Molefi Ntseki. The youngsters on the way to turn the coaching world upside down. Let's talk about then, in fact, what now for this coach? Because, you know, some people will speak about Bafana. There's a rebuilding job that I want to ask him about. But for the coach, what do you think he does here? Does he pivot back into trying to find a club team? What would you say is the value of his brand at the moment?
I think at this current time, for failing to qualify, it's a little bit stained. But I think he can always recover. He can always find a team that he can coach with different dynamics. I think what happened now, that we are all aware of, we are all under pressure, and they expected him to deliver hook or crook. So this one, he had to get it in the bag. Unfortunately, he couldn't, so that's what resulted in him to resign, for him to be sacked. Again, we still have, we saw a glimpse of youngsters popping in.
Yeah.
We saw like the hunger on the younger players, the introduction. I think if we start being consistent on understanding that youth is very important, because now we need to move away from the phase whereby we have old guards that are actually there in the national team. Even with your eyes closed, you open the paper, you know who's there. So now when we refresh the squad and getting youngsters, remember, we're preparing for competitions ahead. We can't be one hit wonder. We have those best players and then they fade. 2010 World Cup is long gone.
Right.
So by now, we should have actually had a plan in terms of how we rebuild and how we go forward.
Do you see a different effect for the World Cup qualifiers? Do you think we are going to end up at a different conclusion than non-qualification?
Yeah.
No, Kevin, no. Don't go there, Kevin.
Tim,
Leave World Cup.
what do you think?
Leave World Cup.
What do you think? We've gone from a situation where there were more places to fight for. We're going to go fight for less places.
We are facing the expectations versus the reality. The reality is South African players versus the rest of Africa. How transformed are you? I'm hearing my line friend here talking about youngsters. The national team is not for youngsters. The national team.
No. National team is where you perform.
No, it's not for grooming, but it can be for youngsters. But it can be for youngsters.
He's no longer a youngster.
No, it depends. Maybe no countries like that.
It is called the senior side. Guys, get
Team.
me right.
You're not talking about a youngster age.
No.
You're talking about performance. When Henacho is performing in Leicester, he went to the Nigerian national team, he performed.
So
he's a youngster.
No.
In his age. In his age, he's a youngster.
Okay.
But his performance,
We are talking about
He
football.
plays with
Let's
the
talk
senior
about
side.
time.
We are talking about football,
Yes.
not age.
Yeah.
The moment you leave under 23, you are no longer a youngster.
Okay.
You are in the senior side.
Right.
What we expect from you is a senior performance. Simple. So the moment you graduate there, you are a senior, irrespective.
Right.
So stop confusing yourselves by defending losses that you are grooming youngsters. It doesn't work. It's the national side.
No, Tim, what you are saying.
I don't think anyone was protecting the losses.
Tim, what you are saying. Calm down.
No,
Let me come into your team.
Yes.
You see, you are a youngster in age.
Right.
But you are performing
At
in
a higher
Manchester
level.
United.
For sure.
You are performing in Leicester.
For sure.
You are performing Everton.
For sure.
You need to play in the national team.
For sure.
That's what he's talking about.
I
The
think what we've
youngsters.
always said is that why is the bridging of the under-23s and the senior
Yeah.
men's
Yes.
side, why is there confusion?
You see, this was. Let's do a proper post-mortem.
Yeah.
Now, you forced Baxter to quit. Now,
No, they didn't force him.
get
He quit.
no,
It was hot in Egypt. He came back and he said, I'm resigning.
Okay, whatever way you put it,
Yeah.
it's gone.
He's gone.
So now we have
Molefi
Ntseki who comes. There's some bit of continuity, and now the expectation of the country is that you have to qualify.
Like any other
You
country.
understand?
Yes.
Like any other country.
Sure.
And how have you performed? You didn't perform so badly. You missed. The World Cup is around the corner. Now, what I'm seeing is you've got under 17, the ladies team under 23 performing well. Keep this young man as your coach. He's
To
not
what?
performing badly.
To qualify
he's
for
the
World
only he's the only coach. He's the
Yeah.
only coach who has had that transition, the
Yeah.
boldness to get all these young boys to promote them to the senior squad. And
Right.
they're performing well.
Right.
Now you miss by a few points. Swallow your pride as management. Don't try to be acting, to be working by firing the coach.
Right.
It's the easy way out.
Of course.
Setting up a transition period to grow this brand of Bafana to grow, they need to stick to it. Even if no one else believes that they should stick with the coach, they need to stick with him, and then they'll get the results. Now, you go back to 0 point,
Yeah.
you're going to start afresh.
Yeah.
You're not going to buy a position in the World Cup. Continue the coach to get all these players through, and then eventually over time, you're going to get Bafana
But
firing.
it's going-
That is a
you're
sober
going
take.
back
That
to-
is a sober take, Tim. And I think a lot of people struggle with that because it does mean that, no one gets punished. Everyone wants always to look for someone
Yeah.
to take
To fire,
the
yeah.
fall. And, that's what we have in the case of Molefi Ntseki. Gents, I would love to continue this conversation. It's Cat's Penny.
See, you haven't qualified for
It's Cat's
24.
Penny,
You want to qualify
We
for
gotta
World
go.
Cup.
Doesn't matter.
Ghana, Ethiopia. My friend, we make it 48
Anyway,
before you
on that
qualify.
note, but everyone is expected to qualify.
Nigeria should never have missed any tournament.
There we
But
go.
They have missed. So they are coming back on to where they belong. Give Bafana a chance.
No.
Okay,
Leave
keep
Nigeria.
a chance is the call from Timothy Batabayere. What do you say at home? Catch us on the socials of that hashtag MNF on Soweto TV. We're done for this week, but we'll catch you in a week's time. Thank you for watching. For myself, Gamzambata and the team, good night.